Welcome back to JA Career Success Session and Visit 3. This one's on collaboration and creativity. When you consult your supplemental packet, you're going to notice that this one we are not going to use the guidebook for. Rather, I have written everything in here that you need. So don't use the guidebook in this activity. Instead, just follow along in this packet. What you're going to do is you're going to just start the conversation today after you hand out the career success toolboxes and the table tents and greet them and remind them what they've learned about. You're going to tell them that today you're also going to be talking about another key soft skill, which is teamwork and collaboration. And what the students are going to do is they are going to be working in small groups to build a structure that's going to be the key activity for the day. But to get there, what you want to do is just start a brainstorm with the whole class. So what I do is just on the board, I ask the students to give me as many examples that they can of times they've worked as a team. So they throw out things usually like sports, family, maybe going, doing chores at the house, setting the table, getting ready for a vacation, all of those delegation types of things with your family, school projects, working a part-time job, maybe being part of a band or a choir, etc. So just have them brainstorm a whole bunch of options of times in which they've worked as a team. Then I make a T-chart on the board and I say, what are some of the things you like about being on a team and what are some things that you dislike being on the team? And I, again, just have them give me all of their different ideas. You're going to notice I have given some examples in the supplemental packet that you can use to draw out or to highlight. If they don't touch on them, you can have some talking prompts to get them going if they're not throwing a lot of things out. What you're going to notice is that there are some students that love to work on a team and some that really dislike it for a variety of reasons. And so a lot of times they'll say, if you like to work on a team, if you prefer to work on a team, then stand up, and how many don't. And it's always interesting to see those differences. The way I wrap up this portion is I then talk about the characteristics of a high-performing team. And I ask the students, what do you guys think? What are the characteristics that it's going to take to be a team that functions well together? And again, I have a bunch of different options that they usually say to me on here, and you can help fill in the gaps if need be. So what you're going to notice is in the supplemental packet there are some discussion prompts that you can ask to get them talking in the dialogue. And what you're going to do then is to talk about the GRIPPY model. So you're going to notice that these are in your packets, and GRIPPY is an acronym for high performing teams. And so G is goals, R's is roles and responsibilities, P is processes, and then I is the interpersonal relationship skills. So again, you're going to just use the talking prompts in the packet to walk through the GRIPPY model. You can ask for a group that somebody's in, whether you use your own example or maybe somebody says, I'm in FFA, and you can use FFA and you can talk through those 4 points of the GRIPPY model and apply it to a team that they're familiar with. Then you're going to jump into the actual activity for the day, and this is an adapted activity, so it's not the way the guidebook says to do it. So you should have in your guide a supplemental packet that has 5 different groups. They might be envelopes, they might be baggies, that contain 15 paper clips, 15 yellow index, 15 blue index, and then a small slip of paper, which is the scenario. If you remember in the first activity, we had the students add a 4th element to the problem-solving process, which was to reflect and evaluate. And today we want to highlight that a little bit more. So what we're going to do is throughout this activity, we're going to have a group of students that are going to be the evaluators. And they are going to, again, talk about the importance of reflecting and evaluating. You'll see some of those talking prompts in the packet. But the first thing you want to do is you want the students you want to identify your evaluators. Some students love this, some students hate this. So I always ask, do I have 4 or 5 people, depending upon the number of the class, that want to be the evaluators? You're not actually going to do the challenge, rather you're going to be walking around the room and you're going to be evaluating how the teams are working. So identify 4 or 5 people, and if they don't volunteer, I always consult the teacher because usually the teacher can kind of pick and choose some people who would be good at this. And I really quickly just tell the evaluators, this is the sheet that you're going to use just to fill out notes, quotes that you might hear, examples, and they are going to be focusing on the team dynamic, not necessarily if the structure gets built at the end, but how the team is working together. That's their focus. At the end, they're going to collaborate and they're going to come up with which team had the best, highest functioning team. Okay, so that's one group. The rest of the class you want to split into up to 5 groups, and you want to do as many as you can. So the smaller the group size, the better, really, for engagement. They are all going to get a packet of information, and all you're going to do is say start. So when everybody has one, the students have to figure out what the challenge is and to finish it out. I wrote this curriculum with one of our teachers here in Sioux Falls, and so this is an adaptation that we've created. And what you're going to notice is that the groupie model, everybody has the same challenge. And basically what happens is the small group is a small department at an architecture company, and John, the manager, has just called the team members together because he got a call from a potential client, and that client's company is in town and wants to meet with John and should arrive in about 10 minutes. So they should, as they're reading through the scenario, the slip of paper, they should realize they have 10 minutes to do this challenge. Okay, then it says, wanting to make a good impression when meeting the client, John has asked you to design a model of a building structure. Okay, the client specifically noted he called your company because of previous skyscraper buildings, so the students should realize they're working for height. But also that he likes how your company not only provides creative elements, but that you also pay attention to small details and ensure quality work. So in the end, the client is looking for height, creativity, sound work, and quality, small attention to detail. Okay, so that's the ultimate challenge. So the students have the opportunity to use the paper clips and the index cards to build a structure. Now what I always do is I always ask my teacher if they would be willing to be the client, and usually they say yes. If they don't say yes, then you be the client yourself. But what I do is throughout the time that they're building the structure, the evaluators are walking around and they're just taking note of what's going on. I usually kind of do the same and I interact with them along the way. But then I give them, I call a 3-minute warning. So I say, all right, I just got word from the receptionist downstairs. The client is just parking and will be upstairs to our building in 3 minutes. So I have the 3-minute warning, I do a 90-second warning, and then I say, all hands off, stop. So then what I do is I have the evaluators go to a corner of the room and they are going to evaluate who had the best teamwork. They're not considering the structure at all. In the meantime, the teacher or the client, if you're going to be the client, you are going to allow each group to do a 30-second pitch as to why they should choose their structure. So they get to do 30-second pitches, and the client, usually the teacher, is going to pick which structure they say wins. Okay? Then once you identify that part of it, it's usually pretty funny, the pitches are good, and again, the pitch goes into that speech standard of impromptu speaking. Then the evaluators, I let the evaluators come up and I let them share some of the team dynamics they saw and heard, and I let them decide who was the best teamwork. Now sometimes they're the same winners, and sometimes somebody will win the structure and someone will win the team dynamics, and that always creates a really good discussion as to why that happened. What you're going to notice is in the pamphlet supplemental packet, there are a whole bunch of questions at the end that you can use to debrief this activity. Again, you're going to want to watch your time. You may not have time to get through all of them, so pick and choose, maybe highlight some of them before you go in that you really want to talk about. But depending on your time, you can talk a little bit about how the activity worked. If you have additional time, feel free to share your own personal experiences regarding teamwork and collaboration and creativity, and ask the students for examples of times that they've worked on a team and it didn't work well or really worked well and they accomplished a great goal. Have fun in the classroom.